Howdy all, Nurse Dude back. Something a little bit different for you guys. Um, don't know how you might like it or not, but I actually got the idea from another viewer who is also a male nurse. I was looking at his channel. I noticed that he had this done, and I thought it might be kind of a little bit of an interesting talking point. A EDC for what I carry every day at work. So I work at a place that's called a skilled nursing facility, which is called a SNF in shorthand. And the type of care that you might get there is a step down from a hospital acute setting, but something a little bit more than what you might need for home health or outpatient. So let's say you have a very bad bout of pneumonia. Well, you're over the critical phase and you're able to no longer need the high level of care that a hospital might need. But let's say you're still on IV antibiotics or you're on another type of specialized respiratory therapy, and that's something that more than home health could give you. That's where a skilled nursing facility comes in. So we have things like um, post surgery, gunshot wound recovery, physical therapy needs after a fall, a potentially you broke your leg or your hip after a fall and you need physical therapy after surgery, illness recovery, including pneumonia, potentially any type of other infections. Sometimes we have urinary tract infections that are very severe that now are needing antibiotics, or potentially you have a infection in a extremity or something like that. So something in between the needs of a hospital, but more than what you might get as an outpatient or home care. So that's what we do here at the facility that I work with. And we actually do a lot of wound care too. So let's say you're a diabetic and unfortunately you have a toe that you lost to the disease and you have to take care of it, but unfortunately you can't at home. We would take care of that wound, or like I had mentioned before, a gunshot wound. So something that is a little bit higher care than home health, but lower than what you might need at a hospital. And overall, I'm going to go down the most important thing that I have on me, most likely, is my radio. We use headsets that go out up to our ears for communication at work. It's really nice to be able to have the CNAs, which are certified nursing assistants, and or the other nurses be able to contact you really quickly, ask a question, relay a need, forbid that there's an emergency, having the radio on you and being able to connect via an earpiece, because that is actually a HIPAA concern. So that way we are able to communicate very effectively, very quickly. So that's probably one of the number one things. The second thing is probably writing implements and something to write on. Normally, I use just a square piece of paper or a 8.5 by 11 that I fold out. But one thing that's nice about having my notebook is that I can tear these out and hand them off, so that's really nice. And then obviously a pen to write with, a highlighter if I need it, and then a Sharpie, so that way I can either mark wounds, dressings with this end, or I could potentially write on medications with this end that, they have a box that's unique, so that way I can relay it off to somebody else if need be and go from there. So those two things I think are probably my number one thing. Next down the line would probably be a belt clip for my keys. I know this sounds like a weird janitor thing, but having my belt clip on my belt, on my hip in the same spot, and putting my keys there every single time, I won't lose them, because you always know where they are. And if you don't have them there, then there's a problem. And then you go look for your keys, and most likely you either set them on your desk or somewhere else. But if you put them on your hip with the belt clip, you'll know where they are every single time. Watch, kind of self-explanatory. I like using a Apple Watch specifically for the ability to set timers, have a calculator on it so that way you're not guessing if you need to, and then also set alarms. So that's really a handy thing. And they're also waterproof, so that way in case you get any type of fluids on it, you can always wash it, which is really nice. Next down the line is a flashlight. Yes, I know it's an O light, but this actually takes a AA battery, which is really nice because then I can replace it while at work in case I need to because the batteries ran out. But this one has a pretty low, I think it's 5 lumens for the first one and then 100 lumens for the second. So that way I'm not blinding people when I walk into the room at night, or if I need to, I can look underneath a bed or something for something that's dropped, or even be able to, get a better light on a wound that I'm dressing or something like that. So that's really handy. I think I got this one on Amazon, and the belt clip that goes both ways is actually kind of handy. So next I have my Leatherman Raptors. These are the non EMT super ones. Those have like a smash on this end for your window smashers. This one just has a O2 bottle, key, a ring cutter, and then obviously the scissors. It does have a measuring tool on here in centimeters, which is kind of nice. But the other thing I like about it specifically is that I can fold this, put it on my belt, and then it's out of the way, and then it's kind of, not falling out of my pocket or something like that. Easy to store, and again, I can wash this off completely, whether it be with a bleach wipe or down with alcohol or physically in the sink, which is really nice. They cut fantastic, to be honest. I mean, they're great scissors. I wouldn't recommend them for somebody who doesn't use their scissors every day because they're a bit spendy. But overall, they're great scissors, and I actually like this pair better than the Response pair. Even though the Response pair, I'm sorry, the EMT style ones that also has the seatbelt cutter on it. The overall length of the shears is a little bit shorter, but I do think the handle's a little bit more comfortable. So really like this guy. Going down the line, obviously I always carry extra gloves in my pocket. You never know when you might need them, and you can use them all sorts of things other than just protecting your hands. Headphones, I know it's weird, but sometimes I have to call the pharmacy to track down a medication, talk to a provider, potentially talk to a supervisor or something that might be out of the building at the time, or go to lab and talk to the lab about stuff. And being able to not have my phone up against my ear is really, really nice. So that way I can have, and these are the newer Apple ones, and so they have the passive thing on it. Really handy. I know it's kind of a weird, odd thing, but being able to have my hands free and still talk to somebody is really nice. And then when it's really quiet, I can listen to a little music. Stethoscope, big one. I don't use it as much as I used to, but I do have it on me still. This is a very nice Littman cardiology one that I got as a gift for graduating nursing school. I am deaf, and it's really hard for me to hear stuff. So whenever I'm taking blood pressures or I'm listening to lung sounds, it really helps. Quite honestly, I probably need to get the little electronic attachment that goes down here so that way I can really amplify it, because yes, I am that deaf, and it's mostly low tones, which is a lot of heart sounds or low tones and breath sounds. So kind of hard for me to hear, but I do like my stethoscope. It's a very nice one, and it was a lovely gift. And then kind of a last thing, which may sound weird, but believe it or not, I actually really think it helps out. This was given to me by one of my nursing friends, and she makes these as a side hobby, but it's a bracelet that has a little bit of weight, and it helps distract me as I'm running around doing stuff. I get stressed out when things don't go as planned or I'm late on things, and believe it or not, having the little bit of the weight of the beads on my wrist as I'm walking around and feeling them move kind of distracts me, helps me focus on that, and calms down a little bit. And so that way I can kind of take a little bit of a breath and move along and get what I need to get done. I know it's a little thing, it sounds weird, but when you work in a high stress environment, anything you can to help relax you really does help out. And then also, then I can kind of sit there and play with it a little bit on my wrist, kind of like a worry bead or a rosary. But with that being said, like I said, it sounds weird, but so far it's really helped distract me, kind of helped me, relax a little bit and get my mind more at ease as I'm going around work. And lastly, a big water bottle. I mean, this thing's like almost 2 liters, if I'm not mistaken. I go through almost 2 of these a shift. You're running around, you're wearing scrubs, it's hot. Unfortunately, the elderly population at work likes it a little bit warmer as opposed to me where I like it cooler. So I end up drinking a lot of water. Definitely something that you want to look out for. So overall, believe it or not, some of the things actually do cross over into the tactical space. Your shears, whether it be your Leatherman or your knife, writing implement's a really big one. You always need a writing implement and a writing device. Your watch, so that way you can tell what time it is to be able to maneuver and do things that way. Your comms, so that way you can communicate. And I would qualify these guys as, well, light for illumination, and in your specialized equipment, I don't know, this might almost be like ear pro, but in the opposite direction, right? So I hope you guys found this a little bit of interesting, kind of what I do on the daily basis, what I end up using. Believe it or not, I would have never thought that I'd actually carry these things and use them, but believe it or not, I use them a lot. So hope you guys kind of enjoyed this, to a little bit different idea for an EDC. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys later.